Welcome back to another stream. Let me know if you guys can hear me or if I need to fix my audio here. Uh, Not that. Let's see if I can hear this. Oh, it's working. All right. So today I'm going to be showing you how you can learn Python for finance and how super easy it is. I'm going to take you through the whole process. Um, let me know if you guys can hear me. Okay, great. All right. Sounds good. Okay, good. Okay. It looks like y'all can hear me. All right, so this video or this live stream, we're going to be talking about how you can learn Python and the resources you can use. And I'm just going to be breaking down the whole thing. All right. So to get started here, let me go ahead and minimize my screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at here on my computer. And we're going to break this thing down. And if you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat and I will go over the questions after, I finish this whole walkthrough. I'm gonna go ahead and let's minimize this. All right, this looks good. All right, so if you're gonna be learning how to program in Python, I know a lot of people take courses, and when they take the course, they take the entire course, finish it, they're watching a bunch of videos, taking notes. But if you're trying to learn a programming language, especially an easy one is Python, which can be a little confusing as well, you have to practice as you go, right? You have to practice. That's going to be the reality of it. And if you want to get good at it, you have to keep practicing. So the first thing you want to do if you're going to be learning Python is to download Python. So, if you this is where you're going to be able to download it on python.org. So you download this. Once you download this, it's installed in your computer. You can download what's called a code editor or an IDE, I believe. So I use Pycharm. All right, so this is, I think, one of the good ones. There's quite a few. Let me show you here. I think I have a website with here 9 best ones, right? So you have let's see, you have some online versions of this where you don't even have to download this. You can just use it online. So there's this one online compiler from Program Wiz or Miz or Program Is. You also have Ideally. This is free, and Pycharm is also free because it is what do they call it? Open source, so it's free. You also have Sublime Text 3. You also have some of these are gonna be paid. Some have like a free version and a paid version. I would just go with the free ones, like Pycharm or what is it? What's this one? This is Atom. I think this one is free as well. You also have Thorny. You also have Pycharm. This is the one I use. There's a paid version if you're using it for a company, I believe. But if you're just using it for yourself, if you don't need to add a team of like 20 people, you'd be great. You don't need to use that. Um, then we also have Visual Studio Code. I know a lot of people use Visual Studio. It's similar to Pycharm. I believe that this one is completely free. There's no any, yeah. So you can use. I recommend Pycharm, which is what I use. I liked how it looked. Or you can use Visual Studio. Those are the two that I recommend. All right, so once you have you've installed Python on your computer, you have your code editor, which is one of these, Pycharm or Visual, what's the name here? Visual Studio Code. Now you have those, you're ready to go, right? So first thing I would do is when it comes to learning Python, right? Python is library driven. So this means that you're never going to be able to understand the entire Python language because there's hundreds of thousands of libraries I'll show you here. So you can be an expert in what you do. So if you do Python for finance, you can learn the libraries that are involved in your work, right? The projects that you're working on. Now here, this is where I learned how to code in Python. So what you have to do in Python is learn the basics, right? So if I go to, I'll show you my completion certificate here. Cover this, I don't dox myself, but but yeah. So this is once you complete. I think Python 3 is the newest version. But you need to go to a website like Code Academy. You don't have to go to this one. You can go to any other website, right, where it allows you to learn the basics of Python. And these basics are going to be right here. So you have, for every programming language, these are things that you have to learn. You just do them differently in Python. So you learn things like syntax, variables, strings, numbers, booleans, constants, comments, these are things that are in every programming language. So you're just learning how to do it using Python. Now you can go to let's see here. You have more things here. Have operators. You have the if else statement. You have things like while statements, how to do breaks, continuous, pass, and you also have how to create functions, right? So you have the Python built-in functions. It's a lot of things that this is gonna be the pretty much the if you're gonna learn any other programming language, these are the things that you have to learn to understand it at the core, right? So if you're gonna learn Java, I learned Java when I was in high school for about 3 years. These are kind of like the same thing. Some things may be slightly different because they're unique to Python or Java, but here it's pretty much the same concept. So you're learning the basics to understand how the language works. You have things like lists. It's basically the dictionaries. You have sets. It's a bunch of basic things. So that's all you have to do. So whenever you go enroll in a Python program course, right? It's gonna be. Let me see if I can find it here for on Code Academy. Where's it at? Uh, I'm not even logged in. All right, we go to catalog, I believe. What is it? Catalog. Give it a second. Hopefully it loads. Python. So the one I did was this one, Python 3 here. Okay. So this is the newest version of Python, version 3, Python 3. So that's what you want to take. So if you take one of these, hopefully it doesn't make me log in. If you take one of these, 25 hours, I got 45 million people that have taken this course. You get a certificate at the end. Now you have kind of like the syllabus of like what are you gonna learn. So I love this because they also have an built-in code editor that you can, as you learn, you can code, right? They give you little projects after every lesson. So you learn about it's pretty much see if I can show you all the lessons here. So you have Hello World, which is the first thing you learn when you learn any type of programming language. Control flow, which is pretty much how to control, the flow of your Python code to include, if, else, or else if statements. You also have how to create lists. You also know how to create loops, create functions, and then there's a little challenge here, and a bunch of other things here that you can learn. But essentially, if you take any intro to Python, these are the things they're going to teach you. They might be broken down differently, but these are the things they're going to teach you. Now, does that mean that you are an expert at finance for Python for finance? No, because there's more things that they don't teach you because Python is such a diverse language that taps into, you can even learn machine learning. You can do all types of things in Python. So the next website I have here, not this one, all right, so once you have all this, let's say you've done everything, you've gone on the website, you've taken a basic intro to Python course, it just teaches you all these functional things that are in every programming language that you need to understand the basic core of this. Now, that is where the libraries come in. So libraries are things specific to a project you're working on. So I'm going to show you some of this is just a list of packages that can be used for finance or financial data scientists and things like that. So a library is like a bunch of code that you can import, right? So I can import a library for Wikipedia. And when I have this library, I can say, search for the definition of this word or summarize the code. I'll show you guys. I think it's a lot better when I show you. So some of the libraries that are in here, they describe them a little bit. You have this one. I think this one is the most popular for people that do this type of work. So this is Numpy. I think that's how you say it. This one is more of like for scientific computing with Python. You have so whenever you learn these libraries, right? They are a whole new different, it's a whole new thing to learn, right? So that's why you're never going to be able to be an expert because there's hundreds of thousands of libraries that you can find in Python. Since Python is an open source language, I believe, so people can build their own custom libraries. So I can build my own custom library that anyone else can use, and I'll show you where to find these libraries. So this is gonna be what's gonna, make you an expert at something, right? So you might know this here. What is it? The basics, right? If you know the basics, great, but you're not an expert, right? Because you don't know how to apply it to, your project. Now, if you're someone who focuses on financial instruments, these are going to be the libraries that you have to be an expert in. And I'll show you guys some examples here in a bit. So you have all this trading and back testing. You have things like if you're into quantitative finance, this is the library that you might be using. One of the libraries you might be using. You also have what else here? Analyzer, back trader. This is for trading strategies. So you can literally do anything in Python, like literally anything, anything you can think of. There's a library for it. You just have to know where to find it or what it is. You can also have pandas. That's not the actual pandas, but it's a different version of it. But this is essentially one of the most popular ones that a lot of people use. You also have this one, Fin Marketplace or Finance Market, Python or Pi. Um, so it's more, it enables you to analyze market data. So if you're doing things like that, if you're into trading with algorithms, right? People that build those things in algorithm that trade stocks for them or picks the best stocks. Those are some of the libraries that they use. They also have risk analysis libraries that you can use. This is just like some of the best in each category, but there's probably like hundreds of thousands for each of these. So we have a time series here. So I'm gonna pick one of these so I can show you how you can kind of like learn these libraries here. It's gonna be like the last part of this, and I'll answer some questions if you guys have any questions. So let's find a super interesting one here. What is an interesting one here? Let's do something with trading. Let's see if we can find a good one. So performance response manager portfolios, zipline, uh, empirical, common financial risk performance metrics used by zipline. Let's try this one. Some of these you just have to test it out. So I'll copy the name here. Now, when you want to download these libraries, you can go to, or know a little bit more about them, you can go to pypy.org. This is the website here. So this is where you're going to be able to find, this is where people post their libraries that they create, right? So if I create a Python library and I make it open source, you can find it on GitHub, obviously, if you want to see the code and how it's made or contribute to it. But here is where someone can publish their own library to be open to the world to use. So we can click on browse projects just to give you a good example. So we can do Python 3 compatible projects. Now you can see that it is a lot of projects on here. A lot. If we go to the 500 pages here just of Python 3 compatible, it goes back to Python 2. But since you always want to use the current version of Python because it's going to be compatible with more libraries that might be published. So here, this is where you can search for the library that you want. So I'm gonna click enter. As you can see here, this is probably the closest match that we can get to that. Yeah. So it's commonly used in quantitative finance. What I like about this is you also have like little descriptions. So what I used to do when I was learning, I still do this. Sometimes I'll, practice. So I'll go in here, just look up some libraries and really understand what they do and make a list of maybe my favorite libraries that I'm likely to use or libraries that I want to learn. So I'll click on this library. Now, this one is a bad one because they usually have a little instruction here where like you can do basic things. But once you know the name, you can look it up like I know already this is probably it. I can copy this name and you can search for, and you'll find it somewhere on the internet. OpenBase is a good source for libraries.io. So let's start with, what is this one? OpenBase. So you have to do your own research. That's why sometimes it can be so hard to learn Python because you have to be doing this additional research. Some of these libraries might be created by someone who has not, put out any instruction on how to use it, right? So you have have to dig for that information. So we do overview, documentation, tutorials, no tutorials found. So that's why sometimes it can be really hard. Let's try the other website over here. So we have same one, table of contents. So usually when you find like a tutorial for this on a website, it's gonna look like this. So they have the installation, they also have the usage. So you have simple statistics here. So this is information that is directly tied to the library itself, so it's not going to be the same for every library. So it gives you, like, the basics here. These are some of the basics that you'll learn here when you're learning these. Where is it at? The Python basics. You learn about how to import a library, right? How to import, after you import the library, how to import a specific thing. You can see here that they're importing Numpy as NP, and then they import empirical. They import max drawdown and alpha beta from the empirical library. So they usually have like these little examples. It might take a little while to understand what they're trying to do, but the best way to learn how to do this, right? What I usually do if I'm learning this, I see this code here. I can let me go to my Python IED here. So I use this one. This is Pycharm. So to install the package, they have like this little button here where you go to Python packages, and you can look it up. You can type it in down here. Sometimes you can't find it if it's a really old one or a new one. So this probably this one. You kind of like have to take a guess sometimes. So we have the crypto. Let's try this crypto one actually. This looks really interesting. Or just copy this and we can go to see if we can find more information on this. So crypto empirical. So this is a fork quant, I don't know how to say that, empirical package modified by Jesse to work 24/7 Microsoft cryptocurrency. So it looks like something that can analyze cryptocurrency data. So usually when you go in here, you get that usage part. It's gonna be for every library that you find an example how to use this. You learning how to do it is gonna be on your part to go do the research on how to use the library. Sometimes you find a whole website that covers the entire library. So this looks like okay. Okay, okay, we're gonna try some of this. So what I can do here is I can install this. So I have this. Each of these code editors have this part here where you can, download the package. Let's give it a second. You can see the little progression bar over here. Hopefully you guys can see it. Give it a second or two to install that package. That's what's cool about it, because it's never gonna overload your system. You can download what you need and what you don't need. Imagine if you had all these hundreds of thousands of packages just installed in here already. So that's why it's so cool to use Python. So if you look over here, there's also some instructions. That's why I like using Pycharm. The same instructions that are on here, you can find them in Pycharm right here on the, kind of like a description of the what it does. All right, so it looks like it's installed right now. It looks like I might need to install Numpy as well, so I can do Numpy. I think I have it installed, maybe not. Yeah, I think I have it installed. Or let's try this over here. Yeah, I might have it, but let's try it. So when I go right here, this is our editor up here. Now I'm just gonna copy this here. So most of the time you want to know if you see what it's doing. This looks like it's interesting here. So returns, it's calculating the returns. I wonder what this is. Benchmark, calculate drawdown, max down, returns, beta, alpha, returns, benchmark. So you can copy this and you can go to your Python code editor, paste it, and you can run it. See if you don't get any errors. So there are no errors. Now you have to understand what's going on here, right? You wanna make sure that you understand it. So that's where the learning comes in. I'm not gonna try to do that right now because I'll probably take forever. I've never used this library before, but this is where you go find a course or maybe a free. There's a lot of free. You don't have to pay for it to learn a library. There's probably a video on crypto empirical. I'll just show you here how you can look for that. We can sometimes what I used to do is I could do examples, something like that. You can see here, let's see, documentation, GitHub pages. You can find this here. Okay, not this one. Go to GitHub here. rolling measures. Oh, this was just giving out simple statistics. Interesting. Okay, so this is pretty easy to understand. So it looks like, it's creating these functions here, and here it's trying to calculate the max drawdown. I don't know what that is, but let's try to print it on the screen to see what it is. So you can just say print, if I haven't forgotten already. So we're gonna print this here max drawdown and see what happens on the screen here. Let's run this. Like the first person argument returns. Da, da, da. So this is the beauty of this, because you get to try a bunch of things. So function max drawdown at okay, let's try the alpha. So I calculating the alpha of a stock. Okay, I see. And then you do print, do beta. So we have the alpha and the beta, and it's using these returns here in the benchmark. Okay, this kind of makes sense, but you get the idea of like what you have to do here if you have to learn this. You're learning things that are relevant to your job. That's after you understand obviously these things. You got to know how to create, how to create functions, how to use built-in functions, how to do things like this. So these are things that you learn, but when you learn those libraries, you can apply them within these things. Like what they're trying to do here is calculate the alpha using these returns and benchmark returns up here, and also calculate the beta of, I believe it might be crypto, since this is a crypto library. If you work in finance, I might be doing that for stocks. You know what I mean? So here, there's also other examples here. Rolling measures, calculate the rolling max drawdown. I'm not too familiar with all this language, but if you're into crypto, you might know what this is. Um, but yeah, so if you guys have any questions now, you can fire those in the chat, and we can address them. See here, sounds good. What do you use Python for in terms of your job as a consultant? So, as a consultant, I don't have to know how to use Python, but if I know how to do it, I can get on projects that are, that allow you to do that. So there, as a consultant, you get, staffed on different projects, and if it's a project that requires a strong background in Python, you're not going to be picked, right? Because it's a very technical thing that you have to know. So if I have that as one of the tools that I have in my, in my tool set or skill set, one of the skills I have in my skill set, then I'm gonna be able to be picked for those projects. It might be projects where I get more benefits, or projects that look really good on my internal resume. But yeah, so you just get more opportunities. So I don't have to know how to use it, but if I want to create more opportunities for myself, it's not a bad thing to know how to do that. It'll only benefit me. Since right now I'm looking for a project, so I'm looking into, right now I'm learning about blockchain technology, because that is the big thing that's happening right now. So it's easy to, there's a lot of blockchain companies that are in trouble right now because of crypto. They're going out of business. They're going out of, they're running out of money, right? Because, because of the crypto going down, and they don't have enough money to pay back their investors that are trying to withdraw their money from the platforms, and the money wasn't insured, right? So they're in trouble with the, that's where consultants come in and try to help. So you have to understand blockchain in order to help the clients, right? So I'm learning that right now. I'm learning blockchain technology. Um, and with that, it just opens up more opportunities for, maybe more interesting projects, or fun projects, or projects that might have a lot more benefits, projects that, make you look good, let's see here. I thought it was pronounced NumPy, like in Python. Oh yeah, it probably is NumPy, like numbers Python, short for that. It probably is. Most of these libraries are like shortened, so it's so hard. It's hard to like really um, know how it's pronounced unless you hear someone else who uses that library a lot, or someone who just knows how to say it. But let's say you mentioned in one of your entry level job videos, you didn't like credit analysis that much. Could you explain those thoughts a little more? Huh, I wonder what video it is. Um, so it depends on what you mean by credit analysis. If you work for, are you in the like the customer service part where you deal with people, or the back end where you're doing the numbers? Um, so that's what I would like to know, or if you can link the video in here. Um, but yeah, Python is super easy to learn as long as you understand the basics. You're good to go. You can learn any library you want, and it's going to be relevant to what you want to learn, right? The big thing right now that tech people are doing is learning how to do machine learning in Python, right? It's big in Python. So if you're someone who is in tech, someone who is into that type of thing, that's a very, very, very good skill to have in Python. If you're maybe at a Python interview, right, they're gonna ask what libraries are you familiar with, right? Because just knowing the basic Python doesn't really help you that much. So if you're able to, you can even use Python along with Microsoft Excel, right? You can connect those two in order to make your work more efficient. Um, let's see here. What else do we have? I'll show you guys a super interesting library here. How you can use some of these libraries. You can even combine them with you can combine a bunch of libraries all at once if they work, hand in hand. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm currently an underwriter considering moving on to financial analysis after a couple years. When was your 15 entry level jobs from a while back? Okay, I'll check that out. It may be covered in a future live stream. But if you're underwriter, that's actually pretty good. I've worked with a lot of underwriters back when I was a financial analyst for an insurance firm. So I was doing premiums, and that firm had everything in house. So we had things from underwriters to write the plan, and then it was all a whole pipeline of everything. So the underwriters were part of people that I talked to every day. The work they do is really impressive, but yeah, that's a good field to get to be an underwriter. If you want to go to financial analyst, I feel like the skill sets that you learn as an underwriter, are still gonna be relevant. Those are gonna help you, right? You're dealing with a lot of numbers. You're dealing with just being the analysis part, using critical thinking. Those are the skills that especially if you are moving to be a financial analyst for the same type of company. So if you're in insurance as an underwriter, if you move up to or switch to financial analysis in the insurance industry, then it's a lot easier. But if you're gonna move to, like, you go to banking, right, as a financial analyst, it might be a little learning curve there, but those basic core skills that you have, being able to analyze data and critically think and make data driven decisions, those are the things that are going to help you. But you might have to learn some lingo, like the work terms. So if you're going to go into banking, or go into specific corporate companies, you might have to learn some lingos that they use, because I know insurance has like a lot of work lingo that nobody else outside of insurance could understand. So it might be the same thing for other jobs, or industries or companies that are into finance. But yeah, analysis is fun. It's very broad. Underwriting is might be a little limiting, where you can only do underwriting, right? But for financial analysis, there's so many moving parts that you can switch to, so many different areas that you go with financial analysis with that ability. And I will get maybe get like a little certification online or a course online, where it just teaches you financial analysis, so you can kind of like dip your toes in the water. Um, but yeah, so that's what I wanted to show you guys. How you can learn Python. Because I've seen a lot of people that have tried to learn Python, and what they do is they uh, watch, do the course online, like sign up for a course, and then they just take notes. It's like, no, 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 you need to be practicing. And then once it's over, they're like, well, how do I actually, do a database thing? How do I want to do stock stuff. I want to calculate the beta, but they're like, I didn't learn that. That wasn't in the course. That's why you have to go out and learn these libraries. So if you are specific to banking, there are libraries for banking. For specific to, if you're a data analyst or data scientist, there are libraries for that. If you're someone who needs to draw graphs and things like that, there are libraries that allow you to do that. So yeah, see here, that's pretty much the reason I want to move. Your videos, professional analysis sold me on it. Oh yes, underwriting can be pretty one-dimensional at times. Yes, yeah, financial analysis, it could be very exciting, simply because there's so many moving parts, and you can leave one financial analysis job, go to a different one, and do completely different thing, but still use the same skill set. It's still financial analysis, just analyzing financial data. And as you move up, the cool thing about it is as you move up, you stop being the person that's crunching the numbers. You become the decision maker, right? Now you're the one that has, the final say. You have the entry level analyst do all the numbers, and you're the one that has. So you gets, it's more pressure, but it's you don't have to always do that. 'Cause I feel like with underwriting, unless you're like an underwriting manager, then yes, you're the decision maker. But with analysts, so many things that happen that eventually you become the decision maker. Uh, Next one is GPA important? Um, I would say normally I'll say no, but of course it is important because it's kind of like uh how would you describe it? It's like it's like when you ask, is a college degree important? Of course it's not, but there are certain doors that if you want to enter those doors, you need to have a college degree, even though it might be useless, but you need to have one, right? There are jobs you need a bachelor's degree, right? There are jobs you need a master's degree. Does that mean that you're smarter than someone who doesn't? No, but it's just like that's what it costs to get in. So is GPA important? No, it's not. But there are certain doors that if you want to get into those doors, you need to have maybe a 3.0, 3.7, right? So as long as you know the doors that you're trying to get into, and you know that it is not a requirement to have a GPA that's maybe a 4.0, then you're good. So for me, when I was, I did not like, school or studying all night. So I made sure to get C's every semester because that's like, I could do that and still do other things. But I knew that I would not be able to go to investment banking, right? If I was trying to do that, I would need a GPA that was really high. That's what it cost to do that. But I knew that I wanted to go a different route. So being able to like, measure what you want to do. What you don't want to do is have a 2.6 GPA and try to go to investment banking, right? Because you don't have the requirements. So as long as you know what you're trying to get to, then you can, gauge if you have to pursue a GPA, a high GPA or a degree. Yeah, so that's why the question that is college worth it, or is a college degree worth it, is so hard to answer because yeah, it's not that, I have one and it's not that important. It doesn't make me smarter. I had to relearn everything once I graduated. But did I need it to get into certain jobs and doors? Yes, I did, right? So yeah, so it's a two-way street, or double-edged sword where, it's like, yeah, it's important, but it's not really important. But then you need it if you want to do this. But if you don't want to do that, there's so many routes you could take that don't even require a college degree or a big GPA or high GPA. So yeah, that's that. If no one else has any other questions, I'll probably see you guys tomorrow. If you have, and I'll come up with the. Does anyone have a topic you want me to cover tomorrow on the live stream? I'll just come up with something else, or maybe I'll answer comments that I haven't gotten to on the channel. If you have, say, where do you see this channel in the next 5 years? That's a very good question. I don't know. That is a very good question. I have no idea, to be honest. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea. But I enjoy making these videos. Right now, I'm just chilling, just came from a client site. I'm taking a break right now for maybe the next couple of weeks. So I like doing this when I have some free time, especially around this time. But in the 5 years, that is a very good question. Maybe, I don't know. That's a good question. I'll think about that one. Maybe cover that tomorrow. I don't know. But I have no idea where it's gonna be in 5 years. But I have other channels as well. I like to edit videos, so I can show you here some stuff I do on the side. I like to create content, so it might still be around actually. Uh, see if I can find it. So this is my other channel here. It's 13,000 subscribers. I post on it very often, or it's been 2 weeks. But I like to edit videos, so when I have some free time or I don't want to think about work, I would just teach people how to edit videos, right? And yeah, so a couple little side projects that I do like that. And I also have another channel where I teach, not teach Python, but when I was learning how to program in Python, I would practice, and as I was practicing, I would just film myself doing that. Um, Someone says, have you done an Excel stream yet? I think I have in the past. Not really sure, but I could do that tomorrow. We could do some basics. We could do I don't know, pivot tables or something like that. We could do that so you can ask questions live. I think it's one thing like watching a video that's pre-recorded and having to maybe you have a question but the video is already recorded. So if you can ask live, like what did you just do here? What did you click? I feel like that helps a lot more. So we could do something like that maybe this week. I'm gonna stream again maybe until Thursday. Let's see here. Can you walk through things you do as a financial consultant? I'm curious as to what the exact work is like. So I'll just give you a like, maybe I'll do a stream on that. But so what I do is so there's a bunch of moving parts in consulting. You can't really say you only do one thing, so you might be part of like a pipeline that focuses on this. So for me, it's risk management. And then you can describe it further by saying risk management for what? For financial service firms, right? So banks, any company or corporation that has provides financial services. So think about all the crypto, the companies that were dealing with crypto that allow you to trade, the trading platforms like Robinhood, Fidelity, and you also have, the banks. Obviously, those are a big part of financial services risk management. And then after that, you can ask what type of risk do you manage. So I do what's it called? Because there's so many things to remember. So it's essentially financial crimes compliance, also known as regulatory compliance, right? So it's like making sure that, let's say, a bank has a fine for maybe someone, a lot of people use maybe the mafia was laundering money, and this is real life, or a gang was laundering money through a bank. The bank is going to get fined by the government because there are certain regulations that are in place in order to hold banks accountable. So when banks are in trouble, they kind of like have a deadline. So the Fed will say something like, "Hey, you have 90 days to get your AML compliance thing in order," which is anti-money laundering. So they'll hire consultants to clean everything up. So sometimes it's well, I can't talk about specific projects, but sometimes it could be investigating, anything related to money laundering, right? So banks can flag things, and the things they flag is what they give to consultants in order to kind of like flag stuff. Sometimes it's maybe calculating losses or potential losses or vetting future clients. They call it like KYC, know your customer, where a bank has to know who they're doing business with, right? Let's say someone just deposits $100,000 in the bank account. They have to know who you are, where you got the money, right? In one way or another, they have to know that so they can protect themselves. So that's the risk management part. We can also do transaction monitoring, where you monitor transactions. So maybe it's a investment bank, and then there's some money being exchanged between companies. You can investigate that as well. So it's a lot more of like investigative, and then there's also the analysis part, right? In order to, because at the end of the day, you are making a decision that, is this, let's say it's you're reviewing a transaction, is this suspicious or not? Do I flag this or do I do this? So you have to be able to critically think. You have to be able to analyze the data that you have, and the big part of that is doing a lot of research and having a lot of sources, because at the end of the day, you have to write narratives, right? Like a detective would do, like a police report. That's pretty much what it is. So you gotta have the facts in order to, you're accusing someone of something, you always say potential suspect. You have to be able to substantiate that. So that's what I do right now. But sometimes I'll get on projects that are maybe it's financial analysis only, just helping out with that. But yeah, but most of what I do is related to financial crimes. So anything related to terrorist financing, money laundering, transaction monitoring, anything like that. That's what I focus on right now. Is even though I can get on other, sometimes I'll get on these one-off projects that are maybe just financial analysis. It's pretty good. Let's see here. What else do we have? Do you like trading, or are you more buy and hold investments? That's a really good question. When I was in college, I used to, like day trade and swing trade, and but as I've gotten older and more busier, I don't have time to buy and sell stocks. And also, when you work in consulting, especially for one of the big four consulting firms, you have to report every stock you purchase, right? And some stocks are restricted because it's your clients and you have access to information that let's say for example, I can't talk about specifics. Let's say I was doing a project on JP Morgan, and they're being investigated by the government on something that they did, and I know that if this comes out on the news tomorrow, the stock is going to go down, right? So that's why there's certain restrictions like that where you can't purchase certain stocks. So now I just buy and hold because that's a lot safer. I don't have to report everything that I purchase. I just know that I have these things. And sometimes you find out that the stocks that people trade, there might be clients, future clients, past clients, where you can't purchase anything. But let's see, what else do we have here? Also, if you do an Excel stream, can you show us easy things to do? We can post on Fiverr and make some extra money, even things we can look into and do research. Yes, I can definitely do that. Yeah, I used to do that when I was in college. I used to let's say pivot tables. I'll say, I'll do this for you on Fiverr. Let me see if I can find some postings here that a lot of people actually do right now. I'm logged into it. I'll show you how much they charge. All right, let me share my screen. Actually, I almost forgot to do that. All right, so this is Fiverr here. So you're gonna find I used to do posts like this. So this is an example here. I will create Excel dashboard, VLOOKUP, and pivot tables and chart. So it's very specific to the skills that they do. So you can click on this, their service, and you can, they have like a little video here, maybe of what they do. I'll play this. Hopefully it doesn't get. So they're essentially just showing their work. Can I skip around this? There you go. It's like dynamic charts and stuff like that. And then you have their pricing here, so you can see that it's pretty easy here. So they deliver in one day, you get 2 revisions, and you pay $5. So some people might have more, you want, so this is the basic, you have like standard, you have premium, you can charge more. You can see that, how the price jumps from, what is it, $5 to $80, right? A lot of people are going to opt for maybe the medium. Most people want to, get like their money's worth. They're never gonna really do the $5 or do like the standard where you get more revisions, where maybe it's more advanced as well. So yeah, so these are some of the things that people do on here. I'll show you something else here. So if you know how to do macros and pivot tables, so I just searched pivot tables. That's why it's just showing a lot of pivot tables. So you have this one here, this first one. I would do anything related to Excel, formulas, pivot tables, dashboard, graphs. So you can even see that they have clients here. So they have like 3 orders in queue, like 3 projects you're working on. So kind of like this, that this goes up to $30, pretty easy. And you have like a list of what they do. And you even have like reviews here of, people that have had the service, as you can see on the bottom here. Most of the time people that actually do this on Fiverr, they're really good at it. You're never gonna find someone with bad reviews on here. From my experience, from what I've maybe whether I was getting a service or I was getting a review, you never find, because they're really good at what they do. And if you're really good at it, you're always gonna have good reviews. But yeah, so that's just an example of some of the services that are listed on here. What else do we have? Do you regret going into finance? No, I think that's probably the best decision that I made, because I was going to be an accounting major because my mother is an accountant, and I've always wanted to be in accounting because of her. But I did a year of just being I'm an accounting major, so I got an internship, and yeah, it didn't. I was like, okay, I don't want to do this my whole life. I saw how bored they were during the not so busy season. And then when the busy season came, I saw how many crazy hours they were working. I was like, so you get to work really, really hard for this couple months, and the rest of the time is just like really relaxed, bored, showing up. I wanted something that was that has a lot of moving parts where I could never really be bored and be like, man, do I really have to do this today? Right. So that's why, yeah, that I don't. So I don't definitely do not regret going into finance, and a lot of the times, even with finance, that's why I think it's a really really good major because you don't have to go work in finance. You can start your own business, and you are gonna be able to understand the finances of your business or how your business works, right? Or the financial statements. You're gonna be able to do that. A lot of businesses fail because of people not understanding the finance part of their business. They might have to be super talented, they have passion. Let's say it's an art business, you know how to draw, you're the expert. But if you don't know how to work with funding, how to work with, how to give equity, how to get debt, things like that, you know how to finance your business. Those are things that are very, very fundamental to a lot of businesses, but a lot of people don't have that knowledge. So you can go to college, get a finance degree, but you don't want to work in finance. You want to start your own business or you want to join the family business. So a lot of people are not educated enough when it comes to finance, right? So yeah, it's a good degree. You can never go wrong with it, even if you don't want to. It's always a good thing to understand finance, right? If you are a finance major, of course, you're going to learn about personal finance, right? Which is what a lot of high schools don't even teach these days. So you're touching a lot of things. You learn about, corporate finance, you learn personal finance. I even took a class called Finance for Entrepreneurs, right? That kind of like focuses on that as well. You take basic accounting that's included in the coursework. So you kind of like understand this whole other side that you were never taught in high school. That's one thing. And if you don't major in it, you're never going to be taught that, right? That's when you have to go find outside resources and things like that. So yeah, that's why I always call it a super super great major to have. Even if you're just confused, you don't know what to do, just major in finance. You can't lose with that, right? You're gonna use it regardless. You're gonna be able to understand your credit better, right? You're gonna be able to understand why the bank is charging you interest, right? You're gonna be able to understand what loans to get, what loans to not get. I took a class on loans as well on insurance. I think it was on insurance or something like that. Um, you know, those are just like electives that I took. But as I go into the workforce and they're talking about we're gonna be charging you this premium and this, oh, I know what that is. You know how many people go, they don't know what benefits to select as they're filling up their new hire paperwork because they've never seen that information. When you're signing up those deduction papers, you're like, what is it? Like, where's this money going? But yeah, so I think it's really important to understand finance, and it even makes it a better major, right? If you're gonna work in finance, you kind of like have an advantage over someone who does not have a finance degree. But yeah, that's my take on finance. That's probably why I talk about it so much on this channel. Even though I want to get into more into like businessy stuff and maybe personal finance stuff. Um, that's a great, those would be great topics for some videos. Um, so I know finance probably has the best carry over to day, even if you don't want to get it exactly if you don't want to do a career, because you are always gonna need it. It affects, how they say money doesn't make you happy, but it can definitely buy you things that make you happy. And you got to be able to manage money. You got to be able to get money, manage money, and keep it, invest it, and all that you can learn in finance. So you don't have to, just learning to go to the workforce and not have enough knowledge to help yourself. Right? If you want to start a business, you need to understand finance. That's what a lot of people, a lot of startup companies, they go out of business because they just don't understand finance. Um, but yeah, unless anyone else has any other question, this is gonna be pretty much it for tonight. I'm gonna go get some food. Um, but yeah, I hope to see you guys back tomorrow. If you have any questions, any suggestions, you can leave them in the chat. I also have an Instagram that I check once in a while if you want to reach out to me. Should be in the description, I think so, under one of the videos. Also have a one-on-one thing if you want to do that. If you want to schedule a one-on-one, I have that. It is not free because I'm usually busy, and I would, if I put it out for free, like, it's like everyone wants to they get on it, and then now I don't have time, and now I don't respond. But yeah, so if you want to do that, I think there's links in the description below. But I will see you